Everything, everywhere, all at once. How's it going, everybody? My name is Penello, and ever since I saw this movie, I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. This is a dramatic film focused on the life struggle of Evelyn Kwan and her family. You see, this family is barely making ends meet and finds themselves being audited by the IRS. We catch a glimpse of this desperate and depressed family, which is absolutely coming apart at the seams. It is clear that tension is rising and emotional strain is pushing each member of the family away from one another. Most evident is the rift between Evelyn and her daughter Joy. The first act of this movie is such a heavy load, and there is so much meticulous detail to help us fully invest in the Kwan family, even though we barely know them yet. So far, we only know for sure that they're dysfunctional. Besides Evelyn and her daughter Joy, there's the husband named Waymond and the grandfather named Gong. After meeting all the characters, we follow them as they go to the IRS to meet with an inspector. It doesn't take long for things to twist in an unexpected direction, however. During an elevator ride, Waymond suddenly changes in a bizarre way. He starts frantically explaining to Evelyn that he's actually being possessed by an alternate universe version of himself called Alpha Waymond. He warns that Jobu Tupaki, someone with the ability to experience all universes at once and bend matter to their will, is creating a singularity that could destroy the multiverse. Following his explanation, Waymond gives Evelyn the technology she needs to jump into parallel universes so that she can learn abilities from her alternate lives. At this point, Jobu Tupaki unleashes her minions to destroy Evelyn because she knows that she might actually have the potential to foil her plan. Okay, alright, I'll admit, I was trying to be subversive when I called it a grim family drama. But this is exactly how the movie plays out. It starts as a grim family drama, and we find ourselves falling directly into some kind of science fiction action comedy. Let me say, if you aren't strictly focused on the movie, it is incredibly easy to be left behind by the breakneck pace of it. Personally, I adore the dramatic heel turn from grounded realism to absurd fantasy. This movie has so much depth, and it would be a shame not to see it for yourself. Before I transition into full-on spoiler territory, I just wanted to give a few words about what I think the film represents. First of all, I believe the title Everything Everywhere All at Once is a reflection on the sheer power of the human mind. In our thoughts and in our imaginations, we can visit memories of our life or envision a completely different version of ourselves and our lives. What if I made this decision instead? What if I didn't show up that day? What if I tried a little harder this time? And the thoughts could go on and on. I think that the movie is trying to convey this idea to us, but also warn us about the danger of living with what if constantly on your mind. So far, I've tried my absolute best to spoil as very little of this movie as possible because it deserves a blind watch and an open mind. At this point, though, I'm going to officially drop the spoiler warning since I cannot imagine a way to discuss it any further without peeling the lid off entirely. Please, 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 if you have any interest in watching the movie, go watch it and then come back and watch this video. Alright, the spoiler gloves are coming off, and I'm about to say some crazy stuff. So it turns out that Evelyn is actually a super complicated character, but her nuances are revealed slowly and gradually through the course of the film. In the beginning, she isn't likable at all, and I think this is set up intentionally to be dismantled by the events of the movie. Alpha Waymond tells Evelyn that she is possibly the greatest failure version of herself, which is hard to argue against because personally, I don't even like this Evelyn. She's cold, withdrawn, and seemingly hopeless. Being told she's a failure actually stirs Evelyn and motivates her to tap into her parallel universe potential. After all, there are several versions of Evelyn that are kind, compassionate, and successful. The movie uses this to explore identity through the concept that every decision in your life splits your reality, and the alternate universe represents the choice we could have made. Evelyn's journey is about self-discovery and fulfilling her promise to be a better parent than her father was. Gong Gong, her father, is revealed to be a secondary antagonist who believes Evelyn is doomed to become corrupted like Jobu Tupaki. He actually has zero faith in his daughter, and we learn that he even disowned her as a young woman. Not only was this a traumatic event for Evelyn, but it ultimately caused a great deal of the dissonance between Evelyn and Joy. There is a strong theme of generational trauma and mental illness which permeates throughout the entire mind-bending surrealism of this movie. Which leads me directly to the twist. Jobu Tupaki is actually Joy, Evelyn's daughter. But it actually turns out that it's the Alpha Joy who was broken mentally by the experiments of the Alpha Evelyn. All the alpha stuff gets confusing and it's just words. It's all simple. The original Joy was damaged by the original Evelyn, and she made it her mission to destroy every version of Evelyn across every universe. When the movie introduces Joy, she is portrayed as a hesitant and insecure young woman, and it is clear that she values the acceptance of her mother and grandfather. Honestly, the relationship between Waymond and Joy seems positive and stable, whereas her relationship with her mother seems to be hostile and confrontational. Our only impression of Joy at this point is introverted and fairly mundane, but when she reveals herself to be Jobu Tupaki, we witness a completely new version of Joy. As Jobu, she is confident and powerful. She proves that her ability to bend reality is something beautiful but equally terrifying. I believe that Joy holding the power of creation and destruction is a juxtaposition that represents her inner turmoil as a young person who isn't equipped to understand the despair in her life yet. Her anguish is represented by the everything bagel, something she inadvertently created by putting everything in the universe on a single bagel. The food item transformed into a black hole or singularity that threatens to consume the entire multiverse. When I watched the film, I noticed that Joy's nihilism resonated with me, and I was compelled to see how it would or even could be resolved. And that's when I began to realize how a vast majority of the characters can actually be considered archetypes, which allow the audience to project themselves into the introspective ideology of the film. I think Joy's character was crafted especially to be a vessel for viewers in their 20s. When she is Jobu Tupaki, Joy is in a constant state of change and expression. For one shot, she'll have a certain ability and appearance, and in the next shot, she'll have a completely new outfit and power to go with it. To me, this was a visual representation of what it's like to be a young adult and the feeling of constantly changing in the pursuit of finding your true self. There are innumerable examples in this movie of struggles surrounding mental health, generational trauma, self and social acceptance, but most prominently, the delicate balance of interpersonal relationships. Everything Everywhere is courageous enough to explore the turbulence between loved ones without pulling any emotional punches. At times, the film is brutally honest about life and love, which captured me both emotionally and intellectually. Just to reiterate, it's my humble opinion that the core of this movie is all about the capabilities of the mind, but also our responsibility to hone it and direct it toward peace, acceptance, and happiness. And I really mean that in an abstract and non-ubiquitous way. Every person has their own perspectives and perceptions, so the message is inherently subjective. I think one of the most amazing qualities of the film is that 1 million people could watch it, and so many of them will notice something that they personally resonate with, and that will be diverse or different from whatever the next person is getting out of it. My hope is that anyone who watches Everything Everywhere experiences some form of emotional, mental, or spiritual cleansing by proxy. I've defined the movie a lot of different ways over the course of my essay, but in reality, there is no better way to describe it than a movie for humans about humans. And don't just take my word for it. I encourage anyone to analyze the film and find out what it means to them. I feel like I could talk about the movie for hours, but in this video, I think I've made my point pretty clear. Now I'm just really curious what everyone else thinks of the movie. Especially anyone that didn't like it. Anyways, my name is Penelo, and thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to leave a comment. See ya!